The answer isn't about pretending. Acting as if you were undefeated doesn't mean you're in denial about your situation. It means you choose to look at the bigger picture. It means you decide that your belief in yourself, your goals, and your potential is stronger than the temporary setbacks you face. Because that's what they are. Fear, doubt, and struggle are part of the process, but they aren't permanent fixtures in your life unless you give them that power. Think about this. How many times have you let a single moment of doubt stop you? Maybe it was something small, an idea you didn't pursue, a phone call you didn't make, a chance you didn't take because you weren't sure you'd succeed. We've all done it. But the question I want to ask you is that, what if you had moved forward anyway? What if, instead of hesitating, you acted as if success was already waiting for you? The reality is, most of the time, it's not the obstacles themselves that stop us. It's the fear of them. It's the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of not being good enough. But here's the truth. You can't eliminate fear. What you can do is decide not to let it control you. You can choose to take action in spite of it. And that's what separates those who succeed from those who don't. It's not that the successful people are fearless. They've just learned to move forward even when they're scared. So how do you begin to act as if you were unstoppable? Starting today. First, you need to understand that this isn't about waiting for the right conditions. You don't need all the stars to align. You don't need every question answered or every fear resolved before you take action. Acting as if you're unstoppable is about making the choice to step forward now, with the understanding that your belief in yourself will grow with every step you take. It starts with small actions. It starts with choosing to show up, even when you don't feel ready. It starts with doing the things that scare you, not because you're fearless, but because you've decided to stop letting fear dictate the limits of your life. And when you make that decision, something amazing happens. Your world starts to shift. Opportunities that seemed out of reach before suddenly become possible. Why? Because when you believe you're unstoppable, you begin to operate from a place of possibility, not limits. What are you telling yourself right now about your own potential? Are you convincing yourself that you're not ready, that you're not smart enough, or that now isn't the right time? Or are you choosing to believe that you are capable of more, that you are ready right now to step into something bigger? The choice is yours. And I want to remind you, this isn't about perfection. It's not about waiting until you've eliminated all doubt before you take action. It's about taking that first step with the belief that you have the power to grow, to learn, and to succeed along the way. What would you leave you with a simple question? What would your life look like if you acted as if you were unstoppable? What dreams would you chase? What opportunities would you grab? What fears would you stop letting hold you back? You don't need permission. You don't need validation from anyone else. All you need is the decision to believe that you are enough, that you are capable, and that yes, you are unstoppable. Make that decision today and watch what happens. Think for a moment about the story you've been telling yourself about your life. We all have one. Whether we realize it or not, our lives are built around the narratives we create. The question is, are you telling yourself a story that lifts you up or one that holds you back? Are you telling yourself a story of greatness or a story of limitation? Let's be honest. Most of us are guilty of playing small. We create stories full of self-doubt and negative self-talk, and over time, those stories shape who we believe we are. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the resources. People like me don't achieve that kind of success. Sound familiar? These are the stories we carry around, and without even realizing it, they become the framework for our lives. The things we tell ourselves, those little whispers of doubt or fear, they start to dictate our actions, our choices, and ultimately our outcomes. But here's the truth. You have the power to rewrite your story. You are not bound by the limitations you've placed on yourself, nor by the ones others have placed on you. Think about that for a moment. What if the things you've been telling yourself for years aren't the full truth? What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the story you're choosing to believe? Now, I know that might sound simple, but I also know that changing the narrative isn't easy. We're creatures of habit, and those old stories have a way of creeping back in. But if you want to act as if you're unstoppable, you have to begin with the way you talk to yourself. You have to start by challenging those old beliefs and writing a new script, one that reflects the potential you truly have inside of you. Let me share an example with you. A colleague of mine once worked with a man who had struggled his entire life with feelings of inadequacy. As a child, he was told over and over that he wasn't cut out for success. He didn't have what it took to excel in school. And later in life, he carried that belief with him into his career. No matter how hard he worked, he would never really rise above a certain level because in his mind, he was already limited. He believed his story was set in stone. One day, he hit a breaking point. He realized that the only thing holding him back wasn't his abilities. It was the narrative he had accepted about himself. So he made a decision. He began to rewrite his story. He started telling himself, I am capable. I am deserving of success. I am enough. He didn't just say it once and hope it would stick. He repeated it to himself every single day. Slowly, his life started to change. Opportunities opened up that he never thought possible. Not because the world changed, but because he changed. He stopped living in the shadow of his old story and started creating a new one where he wasn't just capable of success, but where... What story are you telling yourself right now? Think about it. Is it a story that lifts you up or one that keeps you stuck? If you're telling yourself that you're not smart enough, not talented enough, or not worthy enough, where do you think that leads? The truth is, if you're not aware of your story, you'll keep repeating the same patterns, making the same choices, and getting the same results. But once you become aware of it, you can change it. And this is where self-awareness comes in. If you want to act as if you're unstoppable, you have to start paying attention to the thoughts running through your mind. What do you say to yourself when no one's around? What do you believe about your own abilities? Because those thoughts, those quiet whispers, they're shaping your reality. They're the script you're following, whether you know it or not. It's not enough to just want change. You have to be willing to rewrite your story, and that begins with mental conditioning. Just like training your body to get stronger, you have to train your mind to support the life you want to create. You have to challenge the old beliefs that no longer serve you. The belief that says, I can't, the belief that says, I'm not enough. You have to consciously replace those beliefs with something more empowering. I want to ask you again, what stories are you telling yourself? Are they stories of limitation or ones of greatness? Be honest with yourself, because the moment you recognize that the story you've been living isn't serving you, that's the moment you take your power back. That's the moment you realize you're not stuck. You are the author of your own life, and at any time, you can turn the page and write a new chapter. The first step is becoming aware of the narrative you've been living under. Then, it's about making a conscious decision to rewrite it. This isn't about lying to yourself or pretending everything's perfect. It's about choosing to focus on your potential rather than your limitations. It's about asking yourself, what if? What if you really are capable of more? What if the only thing holding you back is the story you've been telling yourself? What if, starting today, you could write a new story where you are unstoppable? It's not magic. It's not about wishing or hoping. It's about conditioning your mind every day to believe in your own potential. It's about telling yourself the truth even when it's uncomfortable. The truth that you are worthy. The truth that you're capable. The truth that you're more than enough. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be easy. Old stories are hard to shake. They have a way of digging in deep and convincing us that they're real. But remember, just because you've believed something for a long time doesn't make it true. Your limitations are only as real as you allow them to be. So today I want to challenge you. I want you to start becoming aware of your inner dialogue. Notice the moments when you're telling yourself, I can't. And when you catch yourself, pause, take a breath. Then ask yourself, is this really true? Or is this just an old story? And if it's an old story, I want you to replace it with a new one that reflects the person you want to become, one that reflects the truth of your potential. Because that's what this is about, stepping into the truth of who you really are. It's not about waiting for someone else to tell you you're good enough. It's about knowing that you've been good enough all along. You've just been telling yourself the wrong story. So what's it going to be? Are you going to keep living the same old story with the same old limitations? Or are you ready to rewrite your story and act as if you or unstoppable, the choice is yours. You have the pen in your hand right now. All you need to do is decide what kind of life you want to create. Because once you change your story, you change your life. Let's take a moment to consider something powerful. Close your eyes, if you're comfortable, and imagine the life you truly desire. Not just the surface level stuff, but the life that deep down, would fulfill you. Can you see it? Can you feel what it would be like to wake up every morning living as if you are truly unstoppable? How often do you allow yourself to do this? How often do you take the time to vividly picture your future, to see yourself achieving the things you dream of? Most people never do it. They're so caught up in their day-to-day lives, so bogged down by worries and responsibilities, that they forget to create space for this simple yet transformative practice: visualization. I'm not talking about daydreaming, I'm talking about deliberate visualization. Can you see yourself living the life you desire? Can you truly imagine what it feels like to be unstoppable, to overcome every obstacle and reach your full potential? Because here's the truth. Before you can become it, you have to be able to see it. Your mind is a powerful tool, and visualization is one of the ways to harness that power. The key is to not just see the outcome, but to feel it. Imagine the details. What does your life look like when you become the person you know you can be? What does it feel like to walk through your days with that sense of certainty, that sense of knowing that nothing can stop you? Visualization isn't just about picturing a result. It's about connecting emotionally with the vision so deeply that your mind starts to believe it's real. This is how you begin to rewire your brain. When you consistently visualize success, you're training your mind to believe in possibilities beyond your current circumstances. The brain doesn't always differentiate between what's real and what's vividly imagined. So when you visualize yourself succeeding, when you see yourself overcoming challenges and acting with confidence, your brain starts to accept that as your reality. It creates new neural pathways, and suddenly your actions start to align with this new. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, that sounds great, but I'm not sure how to start. Here's how you do it. Every day, take a few minutes. Just 5 minutes is enough. And close your eyes. Picture yourself living as if you're already unstoppable. Imagine the challenges you'll face, and then picture yourself handling them with grace, confidence, and strength. Visualize the small steps you'll take and the big wins that follow. See it so clearly that you can almost reach out and touch it. It's the most important part. After you visualize it, act on it. Start living as if what you just saw in your mind is already happening. This is where the magic happens. It's not enough to simply visualize. You have to back it up with action. The more you act as though that vision is real, the more your mind and the universe align to make it so. Visualization, when practiced consistently, rewires your mind to believe that more is possible. It shifts your perspective from "I hope I can" to "I know I can." And that's where real change begins. When you start believing on a deep level that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. But let's not stop there. Visualization is powerful, yes, but there's another key ingredient to becoming unstoppable, and that's persistence. Because what separates those who succeed from those who don't? Is it talent? Is it resources? Is it luck? No. The people who succeed, who truly become unstoppable, are the ones who show up every day. They are the ones who keep going, even when the road gets tough, even when the results are slow to come. We live in a world that glorifies overnight success. We see the highlight reels of people who seem to have achieved greatness effortlessly. And we think, why can't that be me? But what we don't see are the hours, the days, the years of persistence that led to that moment. Success isn't about having a perfect plan or waiting for the right time. It's about showing up consistently and doing the work, even when you don't feel like it. Are you willing to show up every day for your dreams? Are you willing to put in the effort, even when it feels like nothing is happening? Because that's what it takes. It's not the big, grand gestures that make the difference. It's the small, consistent actions you take day in and day out. It's doing the work when no one's watching, when no one's cheering you on, when it feels like the progress is too slow. That's where success is born. Think about someone like Thomas Edison, who famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Imagine the persistence it took to keep going after 10,000 attempts. Most people would have given up long before that. But Edison didn't. Why? Because he knew that the only real failure is quitting. As long as you keep showing up, as long as you keep moving forward, you're still in the game. You haven't failed. You've just learned. Or take someone like J.K. Rowling, who faced rejection after rejection before Harry Potter became a worldwide phenomenon. She didn't succeed because she had more talent or better connections than anyone else. She succeeded because she refused to quit. She persisted, even when the door seemed to be closing in front of her, and look at where that persistence led her. The point is this: you don't have to be the most talented person in the room. You don't need to have all the answers. What you need is the willingness to show up every single day and do the work. You need the persistence to keep going, even when it's hard, even when you're tired, even when it feels like you're not making progress. Because here's the truth: you are making progress even when you can't see it. Every small step forward is adding up. Every little action is creating momentum. And over time, that momentum becomes unstoppable. What separates those who succeed from those who don't? It's not talent, it's not resources, and it's not luck. It's the simple, often overlooked act of showing up. Day after day, step after step. Persistence is the key that unlocks the door to your potential. I want you to think about your own life right now. Are there areas where you've been waiting for motivation to strike? Are there goals you've set aside because the road felt too long or the results were too slow? What if, instead of waiting for the perfect conditions, you just started showing up every day, no matter what? What if you committed to taking small, consistent actions, knowing that over time they would add up to something extraordinary? Because that's how people become unstoppable. Not by waiting for the stars to align, but by creating their own momentum. By showing up even on the days when it's hard, even on the days when it feels like nothing is happening. It's the daily effort that builds strength, resilience, and eventually success. So here's my challenge to you: commit to showing up for your dreams. Start today. Take one small action and then take another tomorrow. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be monumental. It just has to be consistent. And I promise you this: if you persist, if you keep going, if you show up every day no matter what, you will become unstoppable. The life you visualize will no longer be just a dream. It will be your reality because you created it one step at a time. Now, let's take a moment to think about the people and the environment that surround you every day. I want you to consider this carefully because it's a powerful thing. Are the people around you lifting you up, or are they pulling you down? Are you in an environment that breeds possibility, or one that echoes limitation? These questions matter more than you might think, because who and what you surround yourself with has a profound impact on your life, your mindset, and your ability to become unstoppable. Now, this doesn't mean you need to cut people out of your life entirely. It simply means that you need to curate your environment in a way that supports your dreams and well-being. It might mean spending less time with those who constantly doubt or criticize and seeking out people who inspire and encourage you. It could mean finding new communities, new networks of like-minded individuals who are striving for growth and positivity. And it's not just about people. It's also about the physical environment around you. Is your space conducive to creativity, focus, and productivity, or is it cluttered with distractions and negativity? Your surroundings affect your mental state. Simple changes like creating a space that energizes you can have a profound effect on your mindset and motivation, because you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're spending time with people who are constantly complaining, doubting, or focusing on what's wrong, it's inevitable that you'll start to think the same way. But if you're surrounded by people who are passionate, driven, and optimistic, their energy will rub off on you. You'll start to adopt those same qualities, and it will propel you forward. So what do you do if you find yourself in an environment that's not supporting your growth? You take control. You make the decision to protect your mental and emotional well-being, even if it means having difficult conversations or making changes that feel uncomfortable at first. This might mean distancing yourself from certain relationships, spending more time with people who inspire you, or even seeking out mentors and role models who embody the qualities you want to cultivate in yourself. And let me tell you this, making these kinds of changes is an act of self-love. It's not about being selfish or unkind. It's about recognizing that your environment directly impacts your ability to reach your full potential. You have a responsibility to yourself to create an environment that supports your growth because you are worthy of living your best life. You deserve to be in a space where you are encouraged, where your dreams are nurtured, and where your potential is celebrated. Protecting your energy is one of the most important things you can do on your path to becoming unstoppable. When you are surrounded by positivity, by people who believe in you, and an environment that supports your growth, you become unstoppable not just because of your own effort, but because you've created the conditions for success. It becomes easier to believe in yourself, to keep moving forward, and to persist no matter what challenges arise. So take a look at your environment. Take stock of the people around you. Are they lifting you up or are they pulling you down? And more importantly, what changes can you make today to ensure that you're surrounded by positivity and possibility? It might mean making some tough decisions, but I promise you this, it will be worth it. Because when you surround yourself with the right energy, you become an unstoppable force in your own life, capable of achieving more than you ever thought possible. Let me ask you something that might seem simple at first, but I want you to really think about it. What if the key to being unstoppable is simply appreciating what you already have? What if the secret isn't in striving for more, doing more, or becoming more, but instead in recognizing the abundance that already exists in your life? I know that sounds almost counterintuitive. We live in a world that constantly tells us to chase after the next big thing, to keep moving, keep achieving, but there's a quieter, more powerful force at play here, and that force is gratitude. Gratitude is the key that unlocks a whole new way of seeing the world. It shifts your energy, your mindset, and ultimately your entire approach to life. Think about it. How often do we get caught up in what we don't have? How often do we focus on what's missing, on what's wrong, on the things we think are holding us back? It's easy to look at life that way. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, if only I had this, then I could be happy. If only I achieved that, then I would feel successful. But what happens when we start focusing on what we do have instead? What happens when we allow ourselves to feel grateful right now in this moment? You see, gratitude isn't just a nice feeling. It's a powerful tool. It's like flipping a switch in your brain that takes you from a mindset of lack to a mindset of abundance. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you stop seeing obstacles and start seeing possibilities. You stop worrying about what you don't have and start appreciating the incredible gifts that are already present in your life. But let's not stop there. Gratitude isn't just about counting blessings when things are going well. The real power of gratitude comes when you can practice it in the face of challenges, in the moments when life feels, because it's easy to be grateful when everything's going right. But can you be grateful when you're facing difficulties? Can you find something to appreciate even in the middle of uncertainty or struggle? There's a does. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring the hard stuff. It doesn't mean pretending everything's perfect. It means choosing to shift your focus even when it's hard. It means recognizing that, yes, life may be challenging, but there are still things to appreciate. There are still moments of beauty, lessons to be learned, and opportunities for growth, even in the toughest situations. Let me share a simple example. Imagine you've had a difficult day at work. Nothing seemed to go right. You were stressed, and you felt like you were carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. In that moment, it's so easy to get caught up in frustration, to feel like the world is against you. But what if instead you pause and ask yourself, what can I be grateful for right now? Maybe it's the fact that you have a job, even if it's stressful. Maybe it's the support of a friend or loved one who's there for you. Maybe it's something as simple as the fact that you made it through the day, that you have the strength to keep going. Gratitude shifts your perspective. It doesn't erase the challenges, but it gives you a different lens through which to view them. It reminds you that even in the hardest moments, there's still something good. And when you start focusing on the good, your energy changes. You stop feeling stuck, and suddenly you can see new possibilities. You can see solutions where before you only saw problems. So how do we cultivate gratitude in our daily lives? It's simpler than you might think, but it takes practice. Start by setting aside just a few minutes each day to reflect on what you're grateful for. This could be first thing in the morning before you even get out of bed, or it could be at night before you fall asleep. In those moments, think of 3 things, just 3, that you're grateful for. They don't have to be big or grand. Maybe it's a cup of coffee you enjoyed, or the fact that the sun was shining. Maybe it's the smile from a stranger, or a moment of peace in the middle of a busy day. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. You'll start to notice that. Even in the chaos of life, there are always things to be grateful for. And the more you focus on gratitude, the more it grows. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And soon you'll find that gratitude becomes your default setting. You'll start seeing life through a lens of appreciation rather than lack. When you're facing a challenge, stop and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What's the gift in this situation? It may not be obvious at first, but every challenge carries with it the seeds of growth. Every struggle has something to teach us if we're willing to look for it. And when you can approach challenges with gratitude, you transform them. You turn obstacles into opportunities, setbacks into stepping stones. Gratitude is the fuel that makes you unstoppable. When you practice it consistently, it changes the way you move through the world. It gives you the strength to keep going even when things get tough. It helps you see the bigger picture, to realize that life is unfolding exactly as it's meant to, even if you don't always understand how. It reminds you that no matter what happens, there is always something to be thankful for. What if the key to being unstoppable is simply appreciating what you already have? What if the secret isn't in chasing after more, but in finding joy and contentment in the present moment? I invite you to start practicing gratitude today. It's a simple shift, but it will change your life in ways you can't even imagine. Remember, gratitude doesn't just change what you see. It changes who you are. It fills you with a sense of abundance, of possibility, and of peace. And when you operate from that place, you become truly unstoppable. Because when you appreciate what you have, you attract more to be grateful for. And that, my friends, is where real power lies. As we come to the close of this time together, I want you to reflect on everything we've talked about. We've explored what it means to act as if you are unstoppable. And I want to remind you, this isn't just some abstract idea. It's not a concept reserved for a select few. It's for you. Yes, you right where you are with all your doubts, your challenges, your past experiences. None of that disqualifies you from stepping into the power of your own life. Think about what we've covered today. We began by discussing the power of belief, how crucial it is to believe in your potential, even when the evidence around you hasn't caught up yet. We explored the stories we tell ourselves, the way we've often limited our own greatness by repeating narratives of doubt and fear. I asked you to challenge those stories and rewrite them, knowing that you have the power to choose what kind of life you create. Then we talked about fear, the very thing that keeps so many of us stuck. And we agreed that fear is natural, but it doesn't have to be in control. You learned that people who are unstoppable don't wait for fear to disappear. They move forward with it, knowing that uncertainty is part of growth. We dove into visualization, seeing the life you want as if it's already here. Remember, what you focus on grows. If you can see yourself achieving your goals, if you can picture it in your mind, you are already halfway there. Your mind will begin to align your actions with that vision. And then we touched on persistence, the secret ingredient that makes all the difference. It's not always the smartest or the most talented who succeed. It's the ones who keep showing up, who keep putting one foot in front of the other. No matter how slow the progress might seem, the power is small. Consistent steps cannot be overstated. We also looked at the power of your environment, the people you surround yourself with, and the energy you allow into your space. You're deeply influenced by your surroundings, so you must be intentional about creating an environment that nurtures growth, positivity, and forward movement. Gratitude, too, plays a huge role. When you focus on what you already have instead of fixating on what's missing, your life starts to expand. Gratitude is your fuel. It shifts your energy and opens you up to new possibilities. And finally, we zeroed in on the central theme, acting as if you've already arrived, as if you're already living the life you want. This isn't a trick or an illusion. It's a shift in your energy, your behavior, and your mindset. It's aligning yourself with the version of you who is already living that dream. And when you do that, the world begins to respond to you differently. So I ask you, what will you do today to prove to yourself that you are unstoppable? What action will you take that aligns with the life you know deep down is possible? This is not something to put off until tomorrow or next week or when things feel more right. This is something to now, today. Look, we often fool ourselves into thinking we have all the time in the world, that we can wait until the circumstances are perfect or until we feel more prepared. But that's not how life works. Life rewards action, not hesitation. You don't need permission to start living your fullest potential. You just need to take the first step. So what's your next move? It doesn't have to be big. Sometimes the most powerful changes come from small decisions. A phone call you've been avoiding, a step outside your comfort zone, an opportunity you've been hesitant to take. What will you do today that moves you closer to living as if your success is already guaranteed? I'm asking you to commit to this. Not to me, not to anyone else, but to yourself. Commit to showing up as the unstoppable force that you are. Commit to acting as if the life you desire is already here, and then watch as the world begins to shift around you. Watch how the opportunities, the people, and the circumstances that align with your new energy start showing up in your life. You see, there's a beautiful thing that happens when you make that decision to live as if. It's not just about what you get out of it. It's about who you become in the process. You become stronger, more resilient, more capable. You begin to trust yourself in a way you never have before. You realize that you are not at the mercy of the world. The world is responding to you. It's always been responding to you. I want you to leave here today with a fire in your heart, not a spark, not a flicker, but a fire. A fire that says, I am no longer waiting for the right time, the right situation, or the right set of circumstances. I am creating my own path, and I'm doing it with certainty and conviction. Remember, every single one of us has greatness within us. Every single one of us has the capacity to be unstoppable. But it's not something that just happens. It's something you step into. It's something you choose. Something you become through your daily actions, your mindset, and your unwavering belief in yourself. What will you do today to prove to yourself that you are unstoppable? What will you do to show up as the person you're meant to be? Whatever it is, do it with all your heart. Do it with confidence. Do it with the knowledge that the moment you start acting as if your success is already here, the universe begins to align in your favor.